Okay then, the numbers appear to have spoken. Let's ride this one for at least one more week's worth of content. So, Wonder Woman is a record-setting great big hit, and it's the first movie based on a DC superhero property to not be a gigantic steaming pile of ass since... wow, that was almost a decade ago. Like, literally the entire another show. But yeah, turns out that building an entire movie out of the one thing people actually liked from your shitty movie actually makes for a pretty good last-minute save. It's a good movie, my proper spoiler-free review is over here. Now that it's been a couple of days, let's talk about some of the finer details that happen to be spoilers, and also included a few of the things I'm not entirely fond of in what otherwise is regardless a really damn good movie. Okay, so 2 months ago I did an episode about how nobody really knew which Wonder Woman origin story they were going to use for the movie, and how I was worried they might go for a twist that would have made narrative sense, but would probably leave a bad aftertaste. You can watch that episode here, but the short version is my prediction was incorrect, they didn't do that. But they also didn't use the classic origin, wherein Diana is a Galatea figure, i.e. a clay idol brought to life by way of her mother. Instead, it turns out we're working from the New 52 origin story, i.e. Diana thinks basically being a she-golem is her origin story, but it turns out she's been lied to and was actually conceived the old-fashioned way by her mother and Zeus. And honestly, I'm not 100% nuts about that. To be clear, it works well in the context of the movie, it's a key aspect of the narrative and the version of the story they've elected to tell, i.e. the reveal of this information is the climactic cornerstone of Diana's entire character arc, which informs basically the whole tonal and thematic sweep of the film. Plus, it's part of the new backstory, which... okay, look, if you didn't watch the movie but you're watching this spoiler episode anyway for some reason, very briefly...
In the new mythos, Zeus created the Amazons to be a check against Ares, the god of war, because he was wrecking the planet by making humans, which Zeus had created first, want to fight and have wars. He also killed off all the other gods, but Zeus stayed alive long enough to kill Ares himself and put the Amazons on a special magic island to guard a magic sword called the God Killer to use in case Ares ever came back to life. When Diana finds out that World War I is a thing, she decides that Ares must be responsible and goes off to man's world to kill him. But it turns out that mankind has actually always been into doing wars all on its own, and Ares actually hates war so much that he wants to get rid of all humans, and he's been tricking them into making worse and worse weapons, hoping we'll wipe ourselves out. Also, the sword isn't actually the secret God Killer weapon, it's Diana herself, because as the last offspring of Zeus, she's actually herself a demigod and able to fight and kill Ares hand to hand and also do all the other stuff she does.
Whew. Oh, and while we're on the subject, I would not be surprised at all if this wasn't the last time we saw this particular info dump of Greek mythology exposition play a role in the DC movie universe going forward. Oh hi there, new version of Aquaman, who looks more explicitly like a Poseidon analog than ever before. Mainly because we're still building up to Justice League, and I feel like the whole Grant Morrison concept of the League as a fairly specific set of analogs to the classical Olympian pantheon is the sort of thing that would be way the fuck up Zack Snyder's alley, i.e. these aren't just a team of superheroes, they're more like a modern-day mythic deities, or if you like, new gods. Again, I wish to stress the new origin works fine for the movie, and I get why it's there. It's the smart move in context because it facilitates her discovering the extent of her abilities at the same time as the audience, etc. Basically, the same way I think that the simplified version of Thor's origin that they used in the Marvel movie was the correct call, even though I still personally prefer the slightly more convoluted comic book version, where Donald Blake finds Mjolnir, discovers he can turn into the mighty Thor, does the superhero secret identity thing for actually quite a while, but then ultimately finds out that he's really been Thor all along, and Donald Blake was a fake identity and a set of false memories that Odin had transformed him into, so he'd have to earn back his true self because he'd been acting like a douchebag. The thing of it is, I'm of the general mindset that the weirder is better when it comes to this genre, and one of the things I've always dug about Wonder Woman as a franchise is that it's so goddamn different and original. Yeah, you've got the Greek mythology business in there, but you also had the Amazons as retro-futurist super scientists, the Kangas, the Megalodons, and it just, makes the character all the more distinct and original, as opposed to just straightforward pulp revisionist Greek mythology 101 but projected into modernity. Plus, I do kind of feel like the Zeus thing is a missed opportunity to drive the point of Diana and the Amazons as representing a uniquely female power by being disconnected from even a supernatural male influence. Like, hell, what if instead of making her basically female Hercules, it was one of the Greek goddesses that somehow conjured up a demigod with Hippolyta? Then you'd not only have implicitly a Wonder Woman with two mothers, but one who, at least in terms of presumed mystical mechanics of this scenario, would once again be in effect an immaculate conception, which kind of fits nicely when your character is a divine redeemer figure sent to redeem of fallen mankind, don't you think? And also, maybe not putting all the conceptual eggs in that one basket would have led to a more interesting bad guy than Ares, who, outside the kinda over-telegraphed twist and the amusing absurdity of which actor ends up having the role, is kind of a dull nemesis and, as I said in my review, winds up saddling the movie with one of those Phase 1 Marvel endings, where an otherwise really good hero introduction movie has to suddenly rush through a perfunctory Act 3 confrontation with a boring villain you don't care about. However, what's done is done, and if Greek mythology stuff is still around and causing trouble is indeed what we're sticking with here, there's a lot of cool places for that to go in the future. For one thing, Wonder Woman's Rogues Gallery kinda sucks overall, so if you gotta do sequels, you might as well have her fighting like Medusas and Minotaurs and all kinds of Jason and the Argonaut shit. That's pretty cool. More immediately though, honestly, since you've already got Gal Gadot booked for at least 2 Justice League things, if I were Warner Brothers, I'd be thinking about doing something with the rest of the Amazons, because that whole thing is tracking like crazy, especially with mainstream audiences who really didn't know until now that this was part of your universe. I mean, if I'm an executive at WB, what I'm trying to do the Monday after Wonder Woman is figure out how to get Connie Nielsen and Robin Wright back for a modestly budgeted, fast-tracked prequel just about the Amazons, because that would be basically writing themselves a big fat box office check. Hey gang, here's a question that keeps coming up. If your handle is moviebob, where are your movie reviews? Well, my old reviews are in a lot of places. You'll find many of them on my YouTube channel, but you'll find the brand new ones on Geek.com, an awesome site that's also your one-stop news source for science, TV, gaming, technology, nerd culture, the works. You can find all my reviews directly by going to geek.com/author/bchipman, because that's my real name, and you can get regular updates on all my reviews and all of Geek.com's other great content by signing up for their kick-ass newsletter at subscribe.geek.com. And don't forget to also subscribe to the Geek.com YouTube channel, where you'll find the videos that accompany my reviews and tons of other great content too. Remember, that's Geek.com, the Geek.com newsletter, and Geek.com on YouTube. Make sure you don't miss out on all the latest MovieBob reviews. You can also check out my own new website, MovieBob Central, where you'll find my blog, links to all my work, and shop for my books, ebooks, and future MovieBob products. And please remember to like these videos, share them with all of your friends, and subscribe to this channel. Thank you for watching another MovieBob production.